Intro time, go!
Hey everybody, how's it going? I am Darth Spider Mario, and this guy over here is Lucas.
Dude, I'm a girl.
Girl. 101. Yeah. But I just call her Lucas.
And I just call him Dead. I mean Darth.
What?
It's that time of year again. The witching hour is upon us. Grab your masks and your pumpkin baskets. It's Halloween. The scariest time of year.
The time of year that I stop watching television.
Why?
Have you ever seen the Halloween episodes of Hey Arnold or Cat Dog? Those shows scarred me.
Is that why you don't go trick-or-treating?
No.
Oh, goody. I work with the Halloween version of Scrooge. Anyways, despite the fact that Darth is about as much fun on Halloween as a tangled-up Slinky, that doesn't diminish our enjoyment of anything scary, dark, or disturbing. From the Tim Burton masterpiece, The Nightmare Before Christmas, which also happens to be my favorite animated movie of all time, to such horror games as Five Nights at Freddy's and Slender, we enjoyed the good fright and a great dark atmosphere.
And what really adds to atmosphere? Sound design. A great sound or music cue can make or break an intense and spooky situation. Would the shower scene from Psycho be half as frightening without those memorable strings and Janet Leigh's scream? Would Jaws be anywhere close to iconic without the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? Sound is very important in the realm of fear, be it the presence or the lack of it. So today, we are honoring the top 10 scariest sounds in video games.
Boo!
Cut that out! Just because it's Halloween doesn't mean you could just... Oh, hey, we're back. Keep in mind that these sounds do not have to be from horror games. In fact, our first contestant is not anywhere close to being scary on its own, but put in context, it's one of the most stressful and frightening music tracks in gaming. Water levels are the bane of many a gamer's existence. The accepted physics of the game gets slowed or messed up altogether, and in the case of Sonic, they go for a semi-realistic approach in that he actually needs to breathe. I say semi because in real life, hedgehogs can swim and the blue blur can't!
Calm down. Either way, the levels are usually stressful enough without having to worry about proper breathing. So when that music comes up, it becomes a frenzied 5-second search for oxygen sustenance or else you have to start over. And if you are a sucky gamer like me, that is the last thing you want to do when you come so far. It's also a bit of a mood whiplash. Most of the music tracks for water levels range from relaxing, like Dire Ducks, to uplifting, like Aquatic Ambiance. And the level designs are often bright and colorful. So for this near Jaws-like stress to come out of what seems like nowhere, it's frightening and maddeningly schizophrenic.
It is the sound of your impending death. No joke. Now here is the reason I made this list. On their own, the kamikazes from Scariest Sam 3 are not that scary. They've got the whole headless thing down and carry bombs for throwing at you, but they're not difficult at all. However, it's the fact that they can scream at the top of their lungs without a mouth for eternity that lands them here. Do you want to say something, Lucas, or should I keep going?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, one kamikaze is nothing to worry about. Dozens of them all charging at you, all having screamed their heads off, but somehow keep going? Holy Batman, run! Their screams can be heard from across the map, and sometimes you'll be in a position where you can't see them, but you can hear them. Paranoia ensues. They're this low because you can get over it fairly quick, and I have not actually played the game.
See, you're such a big boy, you can handle it all by yourself!
Shut up!
To paraphrase Ben Yahtzee Croshaw, the best kind of horror is not when something jumps out at you, but when something is so subtle that all it has to do is stand behind you and you know he's about to shout a blue goo goo at any moment, but you don't want to turn around because he may stick his...
We get it! Subtlety is good! Number 8! This entry is for both single and multiplayer effects. First, let's talk about the whispers. In the multiplayer, you start hearing whispers anytime another player who is looking to kill you is nearby. Since you usually can't kill them first, you have to hide in order to save yourself and just pray that they don't kill you. And it's very stressful in that the whispers don't signify a powerful computer player, but instead a far more cunning and ruthless human is hunting you down. At the same time, it is very empowering to be playing with friends and hear them freaking out as you are about to strike.
And the Hidden Blade. Aside from being one of the most awesome melee weapons in modern gaming, their effect can be quite jarring if you are unprepared. In multiplayer, it serves as a great payoff to the whispers, which honestly remind me of the superheroine Shamrock.
I remember when I first played Assassin's Creed, the game was quite relaxing and peaceful, just walking the streets of Damascus. But the moment I decided to stab someone, the sound of the blade going through their neck made me jump. It was just such a drastic snap into violence that really made me hesitant to kill at first. And then I got over it.
Many an unwitting soul has made the mistake of not taking a warning seriously. Sometimes it's very well prefaced and gives you a lot of time to prepare, while still carefully giving you a fright. And sometimes it scares you so bad that you duck under your commentator partner for cover. You decide which is which.
Get out!
Personally, I don't find this first one all too terrifying. Maybe I've just been desensitized by watching too many Achievement Hunter Let's Plays. But this is mainly Darth's list, and I can see why this would be scary, so it's on here.
Imagine, if you will, you are playing on survival mode, and you have just finished your castle, or your house, or your
80-foot golden cock and balls.
or your tower of pimps. You are basking in the glory of your accomplishment when suddenly, night falls, and you hear a telltale hiss. Your stuff's about to get messed up, man.
The creeper blows you up, almost certainly killing you, and destroys whatever it's near. Kiss your house or your tower of pimps goodbye, because you aren't getting those resources back. Plus, you drop your items, and if it blew up your bed, you wind up in a random spawn location. Itemless, helpless, zombie chow. That hiss, that destroyer of dreams, sends shivers to the soul of every Minecraftian artist who hears it.
Plus, they're fun to play soccer with!
Get out!
Why?
No, that's the other sound that's tied with the creeper hiss here. The sound Crosshair from Donkey Kong 64 makes.
Oh.
Plus, everyone knows that was one of their weakest Let's Plays.
But the murder of Lindsay!
Anyway, the Donkey Kong franchise has never been particularly scary, but DK64 really pushed it sometimes. The Mad Jack battle, the unsettling atmosphere of Fungi Forest at night, or Creepy Castle in general. But the worst offender is the minigame in the Angry Aztec level. Once you fail it or complete it, a crosshair suddenly appears over your character and a demonic voice orders you to leave the area at once. Fail to do so within a few seconds, insta-dead. Easily the most terrifying thing in the game, because it just comes straight out of left field, an otherwise harmless and funny platformer.
This sadist showed me this sound. I literally buried my head in the carpet and asked him, why is this not higher on the list? I was scared. I'd never played DK64 before. I'd never heard this before. I was not prepared for demons of hell to escape from my headphones and possess my ears in a Donkey Kong game of all things. I mean, my 7-year-old cousin would probably play this and still do better than me, and yet Pazuzu from The Exorcist decides to make an appearance? Why, Darth? Why?
Get out!
This next sound accompanies a creature so terrifying and frustrating to gamers that even seasoned pros like Chugga Conroy have a hard time not freaking out when they hear it.
I just had to open my mouth! I just had to say it! As soon as I finish saying it, you suck! You suck!
Of the many banes of my childhood gaming experiences, this comes in around number 4, I think,
You've made that list too.
in my head. You know. Another time. I dreaded this dungeon and made every effort to put it off until I was absolutely necessary to progress, all because of this infamous boss.
An eerie and ethereal thing.
Mm.
The Water Wraith is inescapable, unfightable, and insanely smart. The AI on this is so good, which makes things that much more scary. It is one thing to have a boss that is stuck in just one moveset that just looks creepy, but the Water Wraith takes advantage of its fear factor to drive you all over the map and make you pee your pants.
And the sound it makes, from the dropping from the ceiling to the thud of the landing to the terrifying growling slash gurgling slash whatever it does, I don't care. All I know is I hate it and run and hide in fear every time I hear it. Then I get to the final floor of the dungeon and I can fight back. Vengeance is sweet.
Check it out. It's the Water Wraith.
Oh my
And
gosh, that
now
sounds
you're forced to
horrifying.
Fight him, and you might be going like, but he's invincible.
But first, a moment of silence.
Despite what Yahtzee says,
For shame, Darth. We do not disrespect the Yahtzee.
but I'm just...
No, bad.
I'm just trying to make a point.
Fine, but I will have no part in going against Yahtzee. You're on your own on this one.
Fine then. For the second time this list.
What was that?
Nothing. Despite what Yahtzee says, I think the Dead Space series is fantastic. And often the thing most people can agree on, even Yahtzee,
Whatever.
is that the best part of the game is the sound design. It's so good, it's won awards for it. While the overall atmosphere and various sound effects for the ships, weapons, and objects are all terrific, it's the necromorphs that steal the show, puke acid on its face, and watch it die screaming in horror. They wouldn't be nearly as terrifying if they didn't sound the part. I could just give the spot to the guys in general, but I'd like to bring special attention to 3 specific varieties of Space Zombie, one from each game.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
In this corner, we have the undead, skinless space equivalent of the Slender Man. He defies all necromorph logic by punishing you for cutting off his limbs, and his deep and haunting wail-like roars will leave your pants heavier. The Divider! In the next corner, giving Jurassic Park's velociraptors a run for their food, they're always found in large rooms with lots of convenient cover, or should I say, hiding places, and their roars are certain to startle you long enough for you to not react quickly enough to stop the rampage of the Stalkers! And in this corner, what happens when a human has to resort to cannibalism and eats necromorph flesh? He becomes part of the blind wolf pack who'll attack you if you so much as step within 5 feet of them. If you're not intimidated by the creepy clicking and popping sounds, maybe the screams of dozens of them rushing you will make you regret taking on the Feeders! So while all the necromorphs make nightmarish sounds, it's these 3 that stuck with me the most. But even though they frighten me, I still say this game is great.
Blasphemy! Darth,
What?
we are making a lot of references this countdown.
Yep.
Let's make another!
Okay.
Slender has become a cult sensation of horror, with let's plays and prank scare videos showing people absolutely losing their minds over the visuals and, most importantly, the sound. That thrumming bass, those eerie footsteps, and the pièce de résistance, that shrill electronic squeal! Oh my gosh, make it stop!
The premise of the game is very simple. Find 8 pieces of paper, don't die. Easy enough? Heck no! After what seems like the first 2 minutes, you begin to hear that something isn't right. From the trees rustling behind you to the drip in the bathrooms, this game is a sound design masterpiece that only tops itself when Slenderman actually appears.
There's a reason this game is so notorious, and deserves to be. The suspense, combined with the sounds of night terrors come to life, has become the father of horror gaming in the 2010s. Plus, it makes one catchy song. Hit it, Parental Floss.
Lucas, we have to finish.
Right, sorry. And there's no way you people are getting me to play this thing.
Unless you do get her to play this thing.
Shut up.
The Slender Man can.
Alright, the last few entries are all going to be ties. Getting that out right now, so sorry.
Blame him. I didn't come up with this list. I had nothing to do with it except helping with the script and being adorable.
But they are all ties for sounds from the same series per entry. As in, for our number 3, one sound is from the Mass Effect series as a whole, and the other is from 3 specifically. Let's start with the Reapers. As the main antagonists of the series, their sounds are going to be very prominent. Luckily, the sound engineers knew what they were doing to create some of the most terrifying enemies the galaxy has ever known. I mean, what even sounds like that? Nothing living, that's for sure. That deep bass could only come from a computerized entity, and something huge. Hence, we get the Reapers. Sentient starships that are eons old, and that every 50,000 years eliminate the dominant species of the galaxy in the name of social Darwinism. They're not going to sound pleasant when they fire off their main cannons.
No, about those banshees, miraculously named. The banshee is an Irish spirit of death, and often used as a messenger of the underworld. If you hear the air pace in Wales, you're as good as toast. Actually, it only starts crying out if someone is about to die. So, what did the Mass Effect banshee sound like?
Terror incarnate. Of all the monsters in the game, the Banshee is the worst of them all. I mean, what else would you expect when you zombify and cybernetically enhance outcast members of an all-female alien race with superpowers?
Well, it makes sense. The spirits are only women, so it would make sense that it would come from an all-female species. And anyone who's ever watched a horror movie knows that we ladies often have a good set of lungs on us, ready to scream. However, the Banshees take the notion of Scream Queen and take it to the next eye-bleeding, eardrum-crushing, bladder-emptying level. And that's only number 3.
Seriously though, avoid them at all costs. All costs.
Video games are scary.
The first game we ever played for our main I Never Played Classics Before series was Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. The footage of us freaking out over number 2 has not been released yet. But, for your listening pleasure...
Are we supposed to go in this way?
I have no idea.
But okay. Oh my gosh, no. No, I don't want to deal with these things again. That was stupid.
Yeah, I thought he would jump over it.
Oh, nice job. That screen is terrifying.
Yep.
So, yeah, Redeads. But for this list, it's 2 drastically different versions of the Redeads, from 2 different games. Both versions of the sound are excruciatingly terrifying, especially for someone who hasn't played Zelda games before and doesn't expect something like this in what seems to be a juvenile fantasy game. Like Lucas, she was really scared.
Shut the hell up, I'm going to beat you to death within an inch of your life.
Now that I have personally experienced the Redeads, I can safely say that we made the right choice putting them this high. Personally though, I find the Wind Waker Redeads worse. Their voodoo imagery in contrast to the overall cartoony tone of the rest of the game really make them stand out in a freaky fashion. Plus, the Ocarina of Time screen sounds kind of like the video game equivalent of the Wilhelm scream.
Of course, the worst part about them in both games is that every time they scream, Link freezes in horror at the sound of them for a few seconds, and you are stuck until he snaps out of it. So no matter how much button mashing you do, you're already at a disadvantage and they can kill you faster. So not only are just the sounds themselves scary, the impending death doesn't help things either. It's actually a sound that plays into the gameplay.
Before we run in fear from our number one choice, here are our 4 honorable mentions. Days at the beach are usually fairly relaxing, but not in Treasure Trove Cove. You set one foot in the water and suddenly a rip-off of the Jaws theme plays and a talking shark materializes out of nowhere to chase after you and bite your legs off. You'll never want to get in the water once you hear his little motif play. And the kicker is, you have to if you want 100%! Yay!
Rare can be evil sometimes! If Markiplier can keep pissing his pants every time he does a FNAF Let's Play whenever he hears these demonic squeals, they're plenty scary. The only reason they aren't on the actual list is that we wrote the list before we ever played the games. Moving on before my ears start bleeding.
My name is Markiplier and welcome back to Fuck Me!
Subtlety is key to fear. Something that may seem useless because the most terrifying thing ever in context. Or it could save your life. A subtle music cue in front of a juggernaut appearance strikes abject terror into the bladders of hardened gamers, but it gives you a chance to fight back. Because it scares the heck out of you, you can fight. So, it's a necessary evil. However, since the sound itself isn't that scary, it's an honorable mention. It's more frightening for what it leads into, what it represents, than what it sounds like on its own. Additionally, this was an afterthought because I only agreed with this sound being recognized, at least, when I asked my friends for some input on the list. This was one of the first things he mentioned. I agree, it's scary, but I didn't think of it right away, so...
This is the reason that I wanted to do this list.
Number 1. Okay, I cheated on this one. I openly admit that. I totally surrendered to the sheer fear that all of these sounds evoke, and I could not pick which made me pee my pants more. But I don't regret it. Ladies and gentlemen, Left 4 Dead. The unfathomable amount of fear this franchise's sound engineering department has given me is just insurmountable. From the music cues that alert you when an infected is coming to the noises they make right before they attack you, I couldn't decide which sound was the scariest or the most intense. So I picked them all.
Yes, this is a major cop-out. Yes, I told him it was a bad idea. So, in order to satiate the masses, I'm sure you have prepared some highlights.
Yes, I do. First off, the Horde. They can be set off by a number of things, even no reason. The director just decides he's bored and wants to see you squirm a bit. That telling trumpet, followed by the cacophony of percussive instruments and dozens of undead growls, terrifies me.
How about the noise that would make a grown Marine run home to mama? The Hunter. Easily one of the loudest and most startling of the special infected, and it can attack from dang near anywhere. Woe be to the player who wanders off on his own and thinks he can lone wolf it.
Worst of all is the Witch.
So why didn't you just make her number 1?
I'll get to that. Her creepy crying, her unsettling music cue, and her blood-curdling screams are enough to make any man die of shock. When me and my friends play games, we usually goof off a bit and try and have as much fun as we can. Not so with Left 4 Dead. We know we have to focus to even survive. We play this game seriously. When we get a little too cocky or even get into a loud argument, we immediately all shut up as soon as someone mentions they think they heard a witch. Lights off. Everyone crouch. 1 point man, go forward slowly. And that's my main reason for putting the whole game as number 1. Scary as they are, the cues are there to help players survive. Without them, it'd be unplayable. No other sounds make me or even the game feel more intense than these.
Fine, fine. With fear in our hearts and abject terror on our faces, we bid thee a very happy Hallows Eve. Be polite, be efficient, have a plan to scare everyone you meet. And, in all seriousness, be safe.
We're the NPCs.
Happy Halloween, everyone.